you want to take over, can you mute everyone from your side, Eric, and then
I think so. Let's see.
looks like it's working. Yeah, if you guys have questions, just come off of mute. Feel free anytime. We just like to keep the background noise down if we can.
Okay. Hi. All right. So thanks, Alex. My name is Eric Dingman. I'm the solutions architect. Came on board a couple months ago. Came from the MSP space. Was there about 10 years. In the last 5 years as the VCIO for an MSP here locally. So very familiar with the MSP space. So really my goal is to work with you, assist you, anything you need. So I'm hoping to kind of be a resource for you. And so that's just kind of my goal here. This morning we're kind of just talk about virtual machines. So that's the discussion topic for this week. Let me share my screen out so you guys have something to look at. So virtual machines, I presume that everybody is really fairly familiar with virtualization and virtual machines in general. So I'm not really going to say anything too outside of what you're really kind of used to. I really just kind of wanted to speak to, and I can show if there's some interest, I can show anyone who has not seen the portal yet. I know we have some new folks on board here for our portal. So if you haven't been in the portal or haven't been onboarded, please let me know and we'll get that scheduled for you. But at the end of the day, for AdaptiveCloud and our virtual machines, the nomenclature inside of AdaptiveCloud is instances. So we spin up an instance, just a virtual machine. We can rapidly provision that with very set amount of options. So one of the differences here, versus an AWS or some other hyperscaler, we have very powerful options, but it's also not, a million options. So that's one advantage of our virtual machine instances here. And you can spin them up pretty rapidly within 30 seconds or so to a minute, depending on your options that you select. And there's multiple options within there in the admin interface. To spinning those up, you can spin up a Windows machine, a Linux machine pretty quickly. When you're installing the instances, you're generally going to do it one of two ways within our environment. You can either utilize a template or an ISO. Template is generally pretty standard. We have some built-in templates that you can use. You can also install and upload your own templates to install from if you have a specific installation that you do or rapidly spin up your environment. We have 2019, we have 2008. So we have our 2012, 2008. We have very specific options in there for templates that you can install from, very quickly bring that environment up. You can also spin that up with an ISO. So if you want to install something, typically if you're going to install Windows from an ISO, you can load that, install that, and boot up from it. Some options with ISOs that we do quite a bit of. So when we're doing some migrations, we'll use the ISO option to load up the boot tools to be able to access that environment, so that we can say do a bare metal restore from a product, say like a Cronus or Veeam. We do a lot of. So that's how we are doing our migrations, booting straight into that ISO and then provisioning from there. So in the creation of your instances, you have multiple options there. For compute, you're selecting your CPU, your RAM, and we have many options for that. So you can definitely select very quickly your options there. It's very intuitive. You're going to select your data options from there. So you have an option of not only your boot disk, but you can also create storage additionally from our pool of storage there. So if you wanted a data drive of X amount of size, you can provision that during the creation of the VM, which you can also modify later on if you need to. So if you need to make adjustments to that compute, you can always add those later as well.
Hey, Eric.
Yes.
So one point I wanted to throw out, you had talked about migrations and
Mhm.
doing an image into the cloud, so a backup to be able to create someone's server in the cloud. And I think it's important to share that one question I had early on was, why don't we make it so you could do that from a VMware image or from a different kind of backup and not have to go through the backup process to an image? And kind of what I learned is that when you do it from a lower level, there's more problems with drivers not working. And so essentially to create a backup image into our cloud and then to restore that into a virtual machine just takes a lot of the pain away later. So that's why we do it that way. So Eric, you might want to speak on that a little more too, if you want.
Yeah, no, that's great. So when you're restoring into another environment, especially if you're doing like a bare metal restore, usually the issues are going to come in with, drivers and things like that when you're going from, say a physical hardware RAID or something like that, going into this environment. Generally that's where a lot of those issues may occur. So when you're spinning this up in this environment, there's a couple of options that you have. When we're migrating into here now, so it does not migrate directly from a VMware or something like that. But when we're doing our migrations, we always do a bare metal restore directly into the environment, and or a full fresh install. Maybe to Alex's point, sometimes it's easier if we're doing a migration just to do a full installation, clean installation of, say, Windows Server 2019, and then slowly migrate from there. So if it's a domain controller or something like that, we'll add the domain controller in this environment with, say, a site-to-site or our advanced firewall, and then slowly migrate the environment over versus, just taking it and popping it into the environment. So definitely a lot of use cases there. So as far as the imaging and things like that, we use a couple of tools to do that make it very simple. Within Acronis, which is one software, that's our data protect software, there's something called Universal Restore that you run. So you'll run that tool when you do the migration, and it will basically allow those drivers to be imported directly as you're installing the product. So if you're familiar with doing P2V, things like that, you're going to be familiar with that process. Really no different in this case. So hope that kind of answers your question, Alex, or what you're speaking to.
Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, and then so you have all your options when you're creating the instance again with your compute, your disk and volumes, which you can again expand later on as needed, and as well as do full snapshots of your environment, your storage and VM, including the memory. So if you have specific cases of databases and things like that, you are able to essentially quiesce and take a snapshot of the entire machine plus the memory. So we keep that, and then you can always revert back to those snapshots. Again, if you're doing, say, an upgrade or something like that, it's a pretty important tool there, so that you can do your upgrade. If everything's successful, great, kill a snapshot. If not, maybe you have an issue or something, you can always revert back to that snapshot for the VM as well as storage. You have your networking options that you also configure through your instance during this time, and then you can also have your VMs be grouped. We do have the ability to do affinity groups if you're familiar with those within, say, like a VMware environment. So all those options when you're creating the virtual machine and instance, again, it's a next type of thing. It's very quick and rapid, and that's a really key part of that. So you can spin that up very quickly. Some of the advantages again with this is, with the recovery and disaster recovery, to Alex's point, we can recover very quickly from, say, a snapshot, or we can recover quickly from your backup software, directly into this product using those migration tools and things like that. So very key piece of that as well. We also have a full API on the back end of this that you can utilize, say PowerShell or something like that, that you're very used to. Full API system, so you can create, destroy, change your options, all with those instances through that API. So also could be very powerful. So on your end, if you can quickly, even more quickly, spin up those machines with some scripting, on your side. So definitely also a very powerful option. So as far as that goes, virtual machines, pretty straightforward. I'd love to walk you through what that looks like if you haven't seen it. Some other options with this outside of the VM, some things to think about would be licensing as well. As far as Windows goes, in a multi-tenant environment, we do have to provide that Microsoft licensing for the servers, whether you're bringing those or we create them, but that is included in that monthly. And then, however, if you're bringing, say, a Microsoft SQL or Exchange, you can bring those licenses directly into this environment, just as you were in any other space, so on-site or cloud. But we can also provide those if needed as well. So some options with your licensing there. I always just kind of want to make sure that we talk about that a little bit. Again, some things that I was thinking about as far as use cases. You're going to have folks who want to, maybe they're timid on going to the cloud or something like that. This is a great service for that. So we can maybe, again, slowly adopt the cloud environment. Maybe you bring up an application, maybe you bring up a server, and you can really utilize this for something like that as well, and or bring everybody over. We have a full team. I'll talk to that a little bit here. As far as our support goes, I'm going to probably skip ahead just a little bit, but we have a full team of folks here available, as a resource, for you. So that's really a key part of this. At the end of the day, you can get your virtual machines anywhere, but what makes us different really is our support, and that personal touch and that hands-on. So you're getting us included in that. So that partner support, you're getting 24/7 support. You get myself. So you have a lot of resources that you can really reach out to and take advantage of. That really is the key with us, as far as virtual machines and things like that, and your virtualization and your cloud strategy. Some things off the top as well, you can do with this. You can white label it. It's yours. It's your environment. So when you take that to your partners or your clients, it's labeled to you. So they know you, they feel comfortable with you. It's not just, AWS or something like that. They know, your environment, and familiar with it. So, some things that maybe Alex can speak to too, but, you're going to reduce your costs, some of those costs that you're maybe incurring, in something like an AWS, where it's just you're not really sure of the costs, or you're incurring costs, based on usage and things like that.
Yeah, Eric.
Yeah.
One thought on that. So on the servers themselves, I was just working on a quote for someone this morning, and it looks like it's going to be about $400 for what they needed. And they sent me what they were paying, and they're paying $1,200 with the other provider. So pretty significant reduction in cost just on apples to apples. It was like 8 CPU, 56 RAM, some backups, some things like that. So it was not a huge environment, and they were paying over 1,000 or 1,200 on that. So in that example, in some cases, we'll be able to save quite a bit that way. The other thing I wanted to throw out there, Eric, you had mentioned that there's no cost for you guys to have engineering help and migration support and all these things. And so typically, Amazon, Microsoft, they're going to send you to a partner for those things. They're going to bill you out for those projects. Our project team does bill out for those, but our CEO, Joe Shields, has decided you guys won't pay for those. So essentially, he credits those and comps those out. So the engineers are all, billing that out. It just doesn't come to you guys. And maybe in a year from now, that won't be the case if we have 1,000 partners. But today, at least, you guys get the benefit of not having to pay by the hour for getting some help.
Yeah, that's good. Thank you. So again, I want to be cognizant of the time here, so I think we're probably looking pretty good. Are there any questions? Anything I didn't go over? I tried to hit some high level points on our VMs. Any thoughts or questions?
I didn't hear you really discuss one of the things that you and I had talked about in regards to backing up and using it as your failover. So even if your client isn't migrating fully to the cloud in a hybrid arrangement, you have that failover capability.
Mm-hmm.
And you briefly touched about what we were discussing yesterday with the using it to copy you're making changes to an existing server, you're able to copy that image, make the changes to the hardware, and kind of restore back going through.
Yes, absolutely. So, we have a couple of tools that we can do that kind of at our disposal. So if you did have a server or something like that in the environment, you could definitely use a backup service or something like that and put that into the cloud here, into our AdaptiveCloud, and then basically to your point, you can change the hardware options and things like that, on the fly, and or in case you had a disaster, at that old location, you could spin that up pretty rapidly in the cloud, as well, using say a Cronus, the Data Protect product. So we have, on the other side of this, we have our Data Protect product, which you can do bare metal restore from. You can do file level volume restores and things like that, and you can really use that as your disaster recovery solution directly into this environment, kind of using some of those tools. I don't know if that answers your question or kind of speaks to that a little bit, but that's a part of the kind of the portfolio that we can have, and those tools kind of can work hand in hand in that way, where you're doing the backups and your things through the Acronis piece, or excuse me, the Data Protect piece, and then on this side, being able to restore directly into that environment from that single portal. So you have that capability with those products.
Hey, Alex?
Yep.
Or Eric, what would the customer see from their desktop, from their point of view? If they were to log in or start a virtual machine, what would they be starting from an end user's perspective?
Yeah, so that generally would just be whatever they are used to using. So if it's QuickBooks, or if it's a scanning application, or maybe they open up the remote desktop session or a VPN client in front of that. So it really would just be one of those ways to do a remote connection into it.
Yeah, and into Don's point as well. So in the future, right now, those are our options. But we do have options coming for a VDI solution right now that Microsoft really doesn't make it easy in this type of environment for that. But that is coming in 2021, is what we're being told by our CEO. But right now, that user look really would look like something like a remote desktop, and they're just going to open up whatever app they're used to opening up. You'll install that on the server. And to Alex's point, you can VPN in. You can do say like a remote app type of scenario. You can do your terminal services directly into that machine. So you really have a variety of options there. Does that answer the question?
I guess.
Yeah. So from the client side, yeah, what they'll log in as far as like an end user, that's what an end user would see. From say like a partner side, you have your partner portal, which you'll see, which I could show if folks are interested in that. Again, we want to be cognizant of folks' time. So let me see.
Eric, I guess my question, and I'm sorry to jump in.
No, you're good.
When you talk, I'm talking now average user. Like I'm in Long Island, we got like a lot of, I don't want to call them uneducated computer users, but some people are just like stuck in their own little worlds when it comes to navigating PCs. So they know how to turn their machines on. They know how to use whatever they're using, whatever it might be, Word or QuickBooks or whatever it might be.
Yeah.
But as far as like for a business who might want to go virtual, so the end users still have to start with a PC to get to that virtual machine.
Yep.
So are they just going to use like a remote desktop? Is it there? Can they put an icon on their desktop that they can just click and it opens up a new machine?
Yeah.
So the reason I'm asking is that if it's not simple, and there's still a lot of people who are so afraid of the cloud for security reasons or reliability reasons. Like I had a fellow yesterday say, well, what happens if my power goes out? Well, power goes out. You have your backup battery supply to last you about an hour, and then, and that was really talking about a phone system, but that's one of the concerns that people have,
Yeah.
about bringing things off premise. So again, if it's not simple, then they have a brain hemorrhage.
Yeah. No, I completely understand. I've really seen the gambit of ways to do it. Really what you're looking at right now, you could do it a couple ways. Again, you can have on that end user's PC. Yeah, you just have like a little icon, that you put on their desktop. So you could do like an RDP. It's like RDP file or something like that, but you basically just put like a little file, which is then it's configured with the IP address and things of the server. So when they double click that, it just brings up either the user interface when they're logging into the server, so they have that terminal server session. It could bring that up. I've also seen where we've done things like a remote app, which is essentially a terminal server session, but it's just talking directly to that application, that executable. And that's actually really, really nice too. It uses a terminal session license, but it basically, you could put like a little QuickBooks icon again on their desktop. But when it launches, it's launching and you're just seeing a screen, right? It's just painting the screen, and it's not actually loading anything locally. Everything's being computed, the compute's up in the, on the server. So from their standpoint, not a lot changes, especially, as you're training those end users and showing them the environment. But those are really most use cases for those. And then, as far as, we can really do a lot of things, even on the other side of the house, we do have VDI as a service. Those would be more for a larger environment. So we do have that option too. Just to let you know, we have quite a bit of services that we can help you with as well if you have those opportunities. But yeah, definitely. We'd love to work with you on those opportunities that you have, and we'll come up with a solution as creative as it might be. But definitely making it simple for the end user is really the goal. Because I'm with you. So
One other question I have is because you mentioned QuickBooks. Intuit doesn't support virtualized servers. Do you have or virtualized desktops? Have you had any challenges with that?
as far as I know, we haven't had any challenges. Alex, he's been here longer for sure. I mean, I think we
Not so
have.
much whether it works. I
Yeah.
know it'll work,
Yep.
but QuickBooks themselves, like I have some machines running like Hyper-V, and as soon as you mention the word Hyper-V, they say we can't help you. They just immediately will cut the conversation off because they don't. I guess from their perspective, they don't want to get involved with the tech side of stuff.
Yeah.
Of managing people's, servers. They want to stick to QuickBooks. So
Yep.
you mentioned to them that you're running like it's pretty. I tell Micah, don't mention the word Hyper-V to them on the phone.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds like that sounds like the unhappy tech support guy that just finds any reason not to help more than it not working. So yeah, I think in those cases you call and get a different guy and then they help you. So I don't think you'll have any issues. It's probably the main case study or the main situation we support and have folks using as a
Yeah.
QuickBooks environment like that.
But with that, yeah, to that point, yeah, that's what that 24/7 support is for, and the end user can call that support number. So that's really what you're getting there, so our folks are really used to those calls. So, QuickBooks and things like that. Again, you're definitely not on your own there. So, as far as like licensing things like that, I guess I can talk to Joe about, but yeah, definitely that's one of the biggest use cases for this. I mean, I've seen it quite a bit as well. So yeah, getting support for things is definitely a lot more difficult than the actual practice of it. I will agree with that. Was that helpful? I didn't know. I want to make sure that I'm answering your question there appropriately, or Alex is too.
Yeah, it was helpful. I just, it's just, like I said, that old adage, KISS, keep it simple, stupid. Just some end users that I know just, I had a woman like last night I was trying to help out, just with trying to fit. She couldn't understand why she had two OneDrives on her computer, and as hard as I was trying to explain it to her, she was really having trouble understanding it. And some people just, it's if it's not so simple, and I don't know how anybody else feels. Like I'll just give you my own perspective. Like I found every time Microsoft updates Windows 10, they make it more confusing than it was the day before. I happen to be one of the few people out there who love Windows 8. I find it to me so much easier to navigate Windows 10, but you gotta run with what's modern, right?
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, hey guys, Eric, we're a little past the 11:30 mark, so
Okay.
we'll stay on a couple minutes if anyone does want to stay and have questions. Otherwise, thank you for joining us and feel free to jump off. Talk to you guys soon.
Have a great rest of your day.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, guys.
Appreciate it.
So Alex and
Yeah.
Eric, yep.
unfortunately, I'm getting a phone call, but we probably need to schedule an onboarding. That work?
Yes.
Definitely. Yeah, that was Ray, I think, Eric.
Yeah, this is Ray.
Hey. Yeah, absolutely. Do you want me to shoot you an email? Do you want to just get it scheduled here quick?
Yeah, I think we can get it scheduled. Dylan, are you still here?
It looks like we had tentatively done one today at 1 o'clock. Or I'm sorry, tomorrow at 1 Pacific time.
Yeah, I have that now. Yeah, it's tomorrow at 1. Perfect.
Yeah, we got you.
Okay, that makes more sense.
Yeah, but I'm glad you guys joined in. Yeah, so tomorrow we'll take you through that. Do you have that on yours as well, Eric?
I don't actually.
Okay, I'll forward it to you. So you're
Okay.
good.
Okay. Thank you.
Oh,
Yeah,
actually,
no, that'd be great. Yeah, and I think
it's 1 o'clock Pacific.
Yep.
So
3
we're-
our time. Yep. 3 Iowa.
You should have it, Eric, because you're.
Oh, yep, I got it. Yep, 3 Pacific. Yes. I'm slower. Okay, I got you. Yes, 3 o'clock. I got it.
I've got I had 2 texts on this call. One is Dylan, who's sitting there, but he's probably on something else.
Yeah.
And then Huck was also from us. So look forward to getting this figured out.
Yeah, yeah, I don't want to keep you by any means, but it definitely will come together. It's always easier to see it sometimes, but yeah, it'll definitely come together for you.
So I just got the during the meeting I got the login, I guess.
Okay. Yep. You might have gotten the login for the backup portal, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead and activate that, and then let us know if you can't get in. But we'll go through that a little bit.
I did. How can I share this with the guys?
You would have to create them each a user, and Eric can always help you do that tomorrow.
Yeah,
Okay.
we'll walk through
Yeah.
that. Yep.
Okay, then.
Yeah.
That was it.
Awesome.
All right.
Sounds good.
Talk more tomorrow.
Thank you guys.
Tomorrow.
Talk to you.
Thank you.
All right.
Chat.
Bye.
Bye.